Maria continued her days in the mansion with quiet dedication, her hands scrubbing floors and preparing meals when Gabriel napped, her evenings filled with lullabies and gentle rocking, her heart finding joy in the simple moments with the child who had become her world. Adrian watched her from a distance, still the stern businessman to everyone else, but inside he marveled at how this woman had managed to do what no wealth could accomplish, heal his son's loneliness and bring life back into a house of grief. Gabriel's eyes sparkled whenever Maria entered the room, his tiny hands reaching out for her as though she were the only person he truly trusted. Slowly, Adrian began to let his walls slip. At first, it was small things, sharing meals with Maria in the kitchen instead of eating alone in his study, asking her opinion on Gabriel's care, even allowing himself to laugh when Gabriel splashed water all over them during bath time. These simple moments began to chip away at his loneliness, though he tried to ignore the warmth blooming inside him whenever he caught Maria smiling. Maria herself never allowed her heart to wander. She reminded herself she was only a maid, an employee, a woman from a world far below Adrian's, and she kept her devotion fixed on Gabriel. Yet in the quiet hours of the night, when she rocked the child to sleep and looked around at the luxurious nursery, she sometimes wondered what it would be like if this were a true family, if the love she gave so freely might one day be returned. But dreams were dangerous for people like her, and she kept them locked away. Meanwhile, Vanessa's obsession grew darker by the day. From her apartment across the city, she watched news articles about Adrian's business empire, her jealousy simmering whenever she saw mentions of Gabriel described as his precious heir. In her twisted mind, the child was nothing but a chain keeping Adrian from returning to her. She began to stalk the mansion, paying off a driver to tell her when Adrian's car left for late-night meetings, studying the guards' routines, waiting for a weakness. Every night, she whispered to herself that Adrian belonged to her and that once Gabriel was gone, he would see it. One stormy evening, her chance came. Adrian was called away for an urgent business dinner, leaving Maria alone in the mansion with Gabriel and a reduced security team because of the weather. Rain lashed against the windows as thunder rolled over the estate, and Maria, sensing the storm unsettled Gabriel, carried him in her arms instead of leaving him in his crib. She hummed softly to calm him when she heard a faint sound upstairs, a creak, subtle but out of place. Her instincts sharpened. She laid Gabriel gently in his crib and grabbed a broom from the corner before moving quietly toward the nursery door. The sight that met her eyes froze her blood. Vanessa, dressed in black, her hair wild from the rain, stood in the room with a knife clutched in her hand, her gaze fixed on the crib. "Step away from him," Maria shouted, her voice trembling yet filled with defiance. Vanessa turned slowly, her smile twisted with hatred. "You think Adrian will ever love you? You're just a servant. That child ruined everything, and tonight I'll fix it." Maria's hands shook, but she tightened her grip on the broom, her body placing itself between Gabriel and the intruder. "You will not touch him," she said fiercely. Vanessa lunged, the knife flashing in the dim light, and Maria swung the broom with all her strength, blocking the attack. The crash echoed through the room as Gabriel wailed in terror, his cries piercing the storm outside. The struggle was fierce, clumsy yet desperate, Maria fighting not as a trained warrior but as a mother protecting her child. Vanessa hissed, slashing wildly, her eyes burning with madness, while Maria used every ounce of strength to push her back, striking with the broom and shielding the crib. At that moment, the nursery door burst open, and Adrian stood there, drenched from the rain, his eyes wide in horror at the scene, his maid wielding a broom, his son screaming, and his ex-lover armed with a knife. "Vanessa," he roared, his voice shaking the walls. Vanessa turned toward him, tears of twisted joy in her eyes. "Adrian. Don't you see? She's nothing. That baby, that servant, they're keeping us apart. I did this for us." Adrian's fury was like fire. He lunged forward, grabbing Vanessa's wrist and forcing the knife from her hand, shoving her back against the wall. Guards stormed in, tackling her as she screamed his name, her voice echoing through the halls as they dragged her away. The silence that followed was broken only by Gabriel's cries and Maria's trembling breath. Adrian turned, his eyes softening as he saw Maria clutching the baby to her chest, whispering soothing words, her body shaking from the fight but her spirit unbroken. In that moment, something shifted inside him. He no longer saw Maid, he saw the woman who had risked her life to save his son, the woman whose courage had burned brighter than fear, the woman who had become the heart of his home.